What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer, and today I'm going to be talking about something that I know is going to be fairly controversial, and that's the suggestion that the 2018 Overwatch anniversary event could be delayed. Now, it may sound absurd, but there's a number of things which may indicate that this change will happen. So in this video, I'm going to go over and explain all the reasons that Blizzard possibly would push the event back, and hopefully also convince you that it may actually be a good thing for them to do this. So without further ado, let's jump on in and talk about it. For starters, the main thing that first made me consider that the anniversary event might be delayed is that it's the only Overwatch event which breaks the otherwise rigid content release cycle. For those of you who don't know, this cycle dictates that every month there is something new added to the game. New heroes and maps come out every 4 months, and new events every 2. By looking at the yearly calendar and when past content has been added, we can see that it holds true for every month except May and June. While May should be a new map and June should be a new event, in 2017 we saw this flipped with the anniversary event releasing in May and the Horizon map releasing in June. As far as we can tell, the only reason that these two were flipped was so that the anniversary event would actually be celebrating the game's 1-year anniversary, since the game first launched in May of 2016. Had this not been the theme of the event, we likely would have gotten Horizon in May and the event in June. Now at this point you may be thinking, fair enough, but wouldn't delaying the 2018 anniversary event defeat the purpose of it being an anniversary event? The answer to that is yes, which is why I also believe that it'll no longer be called Anniversary. Just like how Uprising was rebranded as the Archives event, I think Anniversary will be renamed to something more general, thus making it no longer strictly tied to celebrating the month of the game's initial release. I mean, think about it. Having an anniversary event to celebrate 1 whole year of the game being out makes sense. But would you keep celebrating this after 2, 3, or even 5 years? At some point or another, having a yearly event like this would just start to seem kind of vain. I mean, how many other games do you know of that celebrate the day they first launched every single year? Also, given how the gamers of today are all about playing the newest, hippest games on the market, Blizzard might actually want to avoid drawing attention to Overwatch's age now that it's been out for 2 years. Additionally, Anniversary has always been the sort of miscellaneous event. The skins in it don't have any consistent theme amongst themselves, and Blizzard has acknowledged it as being the event where they can include limited time skins that wouldn't fit into any of the other 5 events. Therefore, renaming the event from Anniversary to something else wouldn't even break the consistency of its overall content theme. Furthermore, this wouldn't even be the first time an event has been delayed. Summer Games 2017 was delayed a week thanks to Doomfist, and most notably, Year of the Dog was delayed almost a whole month due to the real-world Lunar New Year holiday being later in 2018 than it was the year prior. Blizzard is clearly no stranger to adjusting event dates because of ulterior factors, so a change like this is entirely possible for them to do. Now, if these prior factors weren't enough, we also have the new Rialto map, which is currently on the PTR. Given that us PC players can already test out and play the new map in its entirety, I hesitate to believe that Blizzard would want to delay its release all the way until June. Looking at Horizon, which was released at this same time last year, the map was first teased on May 30th, released to PTR on May 31st, and then hit live servers on June 20th. The total time between first being announced and playable for everyone was just 21 days, or 3 weeks. Looking now at Rialto, this map was first announced on April 4th, and first became playable on April 19th. If Blizzard does in fact release it in June instead of May, then assuming it's released around the middle of the month, we will have to wait about 70 days from when it was first announced, and about 55 days from when some of us could first play it. However, if this does end up happening, it wouldn't be the longest time we've had to wait for a new map. As many of you may recall, Blizzard World released 81 days after it was first announced at BlizzCon, and 64 days after it was first playable on PTR. But as I'm sure many of you also remember, much of the community was fairly apathetic towards the new map by the time it became playable for everyone. The longer people have to wait to get their hands on something after Blizzard's been revealed, the less hyped they are for it, especially when other people have already gotten to try it out thanks to the PC-only PTR. While giving it time to test for bugs and balance is important, it's also important to keep people excited. I know many of you hated having to wait 3 weeks for Brigitte to go live, so I suspect Blizzard will, or at the very least should, want to get Rialto on live servers as soon as reasonably possible. Therefore, there's a good chance that Rialto will release in May, and if it does, then for the sake of spacing out new content, the anniversary event, or whatever name it'll go by this year, will have to be pushed back until June. Plus, speaking of making people wait, I'm sure many of you recall how devoid of new content the summer of 2017 felt. The anniversary event ended around mid-June, and then it was almost 2 whole months before the summer games started. Many people were still in school for most of anniversary, so by the time they got out to enjoy the freedom of summer, there was a huge dry spell in terms of Overwatch content. Sure, we had Horizon and Doomfist, but the latter of these two didn't even become playable on live servers until the very end of July. And besides, new maps and heroes aren't quite the same as limited time events. Once they're in the game, they're there forever, but a limited time event will make you really want to play right now so you can get all those dope new skins. Needless to say, Overwatch players were desperate for an event by the time the summer games finally rolled around. So if Blizzard pushed the anniversary event back to starting in June instead of May, not only will more people have more time to play it thanks to the summer, but it also would shorten the event downtime between anniversary and summer games. That sounds like a nice change to me. Now, I will say that this is all speculation. By no means am I saying that for sure Rialto will release in May, and that there'll be a new event starting in June. But I do think that it's a very realistic possibility, and I for one would not be surprised in the slightest if it ended up happening. It might not even happen this year. Maybe for 2018 we'll still have anniversary in May, but then in 2019 they switch it up. Also, if anniversary does end up getting pushed back and renamed, I'm sure it will still technically be the same event, meaning that all the skins and other content from last year will be returning in the new event's loot boxes. So I don't think anyone has to worry about that. Considering the flip side, the only real reasons that Blizzard would specifically avoid delaying the event like this is that it might be easier for them to just leave everything on the same release schedule that they had last year, and also that, well, people simply don't like having things delayed. I can tell you from experience that people don't like hearing even the suggestion that an event might be delayed, and I'm sure this video will get quite a few downvotes due to me suggesting it once again. I imagine Blizzard might want to leave the event in May to prevent causing any knee-jerk community outrage or confusion, but I'm sure that's nothing that a good old developer update video can't help alleviate. And as I mentioned earlier, overall it would more evenly space out the year's events, which would prevent the summer from being as barren of new content as it was in 2017. In fact, Blizzard should probably try to have more new content during the summer than the rest of the year, as that's when many players will have the most free time to enjoy it. Anyways, as I said, this is only a theory of mine, and at the time of me making this video, the only mention we've gotten so far from the devs regarding the 2018 anniversary event came in an interview with Jeff Kaplan from last December, where he said, "We're also considering how to bring anniversary back in a new way. I think it should always be a mix of the old and the new." Unfortunately, this doesn't really tell us anything. Just because he calls it anniversary here doesn't even mean that that's exactly what we'll get this year. As in the same interview, he refers to the 2018 Archives event as just Uprising. So overall, for the time being, we'll just have to wait and see what Blizzard ends up doing. Hopefully we'll get some more details about this year's event fairly soon, but I'll still be making my usual event start date and new skins prediction videos for Anniversary, unless of course we get something official to confirm that it's being delayed sometime before then. So be sure to look forward to those videos over the next couple weeks. And with that, thank you all for watching. Be sure to leave your thoughts about all this down in the comments below. Do you think there's a chance that Anniversary will in fact be delayed or renamed? Share your opinion by voting in today's poll card, and don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and share it with a friend if you really liked it. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and turn on notifications to both help out my channel and keep up with all my future Overwatch content. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.